Hi, my name is Jera Young Designs. I want to come to you today talking about malas and using them during meditation. When I first started meditation, I knew nothing about what a mala was, what it meant, how to meditate, and why you meditate. I started out of necessity, really. I was injured a long time ago, and I lost part of my sight in my left eye. And that was before I had kids, before I was married, only had a dog. And you fast forward, 17 years, and then my other eye detaches for no reason. And so it was kind of like a medical anomaly. But at the time, I was newly divorced, 2 small kids, 3 jobs, and trying to make it happen on my own. And if it wasn't for the grace of God and my dad, who is a saint, by the way, I love you, Dad, I would have been going through it absolutely alone, and that would have been terrifying. But one thing that really helped me and saved me through that time was meditating and a mala. So I believe in God. I was raised Christian, Catholic, and believed in the rosary, and you never wore a rosary. You just prayed with it, and they had specific prayers. A mala has an intention or a mantra or prayers that you put and infuse into your mala. A mala suits a certain time in your life and is made for those intentions only. It should never be worn by anybody else. I consider them a sacred power object for me. So let me show you some of the parts of the anatomy. Well, let me back up. So again, my friend told me, I need to learn how to meditate. And you have to remember at this time, I was facing surgery. I didn't have good sight in my left eye, and then I had no sight in my right eye. So essentially I'm face down, blind. My dad had to move in with me. There was a lot of scary things. By trade, I'm a behavioral specialist. I work with autistic children, which I love and adore. You have a chance to be a part of somebody's life and in an instant change the trajectory of their life because of why you came into their life and how you affect them. It was a really powerful moment in my life, and I cherished it. And I went into schools, I went into homes, I did 0 to 3 programs. Anyway, I wasn't able to do that. So because of liability, I wasn't able to go back into that field. It was just dangerous, just having one good eye, having 2 small children. So I had to make a shift. I worked with kids for over 20 years, volunteering at first, and then making it my full-time job, having a master's in behavioral analysis. And anyway, so I loved what I did. But having to be faced with how I'm going to do income and how I'm going to, feed my soul again. I was introduced to a mala. My friend's like, you need to make a mala. And I said, well, what part of face down, blind, aren't you picking up? I was really in a place where I had to make a decision, but I was also healing at the same time. And she's like, I really think during this process, you need to heal by meditating. And so she explained it to me, what it was. And when you have a person who, like I am, who have 100 things going on, it's so hard to change and shift in my mind. I'm all the time creating, and I still do it, now, especially with what I do and creatively. I'm constantly with ideas, and I love it, but sometimes it's really hard to just shut off your mind. So for me, that was a big eye-opener with patience, but what I was going through was patient, I was faced with going blind. I was faced with having the for the Center for the Blind coming into my house, and my dad was going to have to go one day. He helped me go to doctor's appointments and all these things, so it was a thing where I needed to learn to stand on my own 2 feet, and if I was going to be blind, I wanted to see what that looked like, and that's when I made my first mala. So I had 108 beads. A mala is made up of 108 beads and a tassel. It said that the tassel comes across the body and absorbs that energy. The guru bead, or often called the maru bead, but we're going to call it the guru bead, that is for your teachers. And that's where all your intentions manifest and gives you that guidance. Guru means bring the dark into the light. Then these are just 3 decorative beads. Malas are made up of increments of 9. They have 108 beads for a reason. Everything about a mala is very symbolic in the way it's made, for the left side of the body, for the right side of the body, male, female energy, all of that. And so I really take pride in how I make my malas and what they mean to me as a power sacred objects. So anyway, it's just an empty vessel if that's not what it's used for, or just pretty. There's also elements in your hands that make up how you hold a mala as well. So this is your fire finger. This is like your ego finger, where you scold people. That's why you see people kind of waving their finger angrily. This is your sky finger. This is your water finger, and air, and then earth. And what you do is you hold your mala in between these two fingers. So I learned all these little details, and it was definitely a practice in patience. You think about the laundry list of things you have to do. So for me, sitting quiet for 2 minutes, and then building on that to 3 minutes to 5 minutes, to really building my practice and making it quality versus quantity. I think it's so important to understand that you're not rushing through this, right? You're setting your intentions, and you really want to manifest that and let it grow as you grow spiritually. So I'm going to go over some of the things to make sure that I didn't miss anything. When meditating, the whole purpose of it is to bring your head energy into your hands. That's why you'll see people sitting a lot with their open hands. You're welcoming that energy from your head into your hands. I want to preface by saying, set yourself up for success. A lot of people set themselves up for failure without even knowing it. So really create a space. I think that is a calming place, one where you have time that's carved out, one that you really want to see that spiritual growth, and don't put so much pressure, right? It should be a positive thing, not a daunting task. And I think that's why, for me personally, when I first started transitions, I wish I would have had, mine was just a straight 108. These have transitions, so these are the beads that you would pray on. Bead is given up to the gods, and then these are beads that you continually to pray on. So all these yellow beads are lovely citrine. The transition beads, you do not put a prayer or a mantra in. It's just to spacing, or to tell you that you've gone through the first 9 beads, the second 9 beads, and so on. And then there's also a halfway mark for those of us who are impatient, or just can only get through the first beads. It's not even so much about being impatient, like you said, it's about setting yourself up for success. So if you only have time for the first 2 transition beads, then that's all you have time for. When I make a mala also, a custom one, I leave the tassels uncut. The tassel is said to anchor the body, and as it sits on your chest, it flows across your body as well, all those intentions. But it's said when you cut a tassel on a mala, you're cutting away things that don't serve you, or cut it out of your life. So again, very symbolic about a mala. So the other thing is a lot of people will wear it on their wrist. You wear it on your right wrist, wrapped several times. There's also malas made up of increments of 9, right? 108. So you can have a wrist mala, with 21 beads as well. Okay. Another reason for malas is setting the weight. You're feeling the weight of your intentions, right, as you set them. So that's the whole thing. You want to be conscious, right, of what it is you're trying to attract. Light attracts light. And don't forget to breathe. I think so many times we forget to breathe, or we're just caught up, or we're so tense, you know what I mean? You just got to kind of relax and let it happen organically. In my story, I think that it came in a time where I should have panicked. I really should have been in fear of what was ahead, but I really wasn't. It was nothing that I could have done to make it better, right? I kept having surgeries. It wasn't like I could eat any better, be healthier, like your mindset, right? It is a constant choice that you have, right? Setting that mindset of, I want to eat healthier, I want to get a healthier mind, I want to be conscious and be mindful of things. So for me, it really helped me be present in certain things instead of rushing through things. Again, I think I touched on it being a power sacred object. Your mantra is your prayer or your intentions. And what are mala beads? It's a spiritual and magical beaded necklace used in meditation and setting intentions. It's a reminder to live with love, kindness, and intentions. Why the 108 beads? It kind of ranges. So the Sanskrit and different cultures they're comprised of 54 letters, 54 male, Shiva, and 54 feminine, Shikit. And so 54 times 2 is 108. There's said to be 108 sacred places in the body. There's also it's also a devotional tool, and also astrology. There's 12 constellations, and I believe they're called arc segments. There's 9 of those, which make up 9 times 12 is 108. I'm gonna move this way because it's a little warm. The parts of the mala, aligning the vital energy. So there's also a thing that is said that 108, it's represented, the 1 represents the solar masculine, and then the 0 represents God, lunar, or the feminine, and then the 8 represents the infinite nature of all things in the japa meditation. Your mala will become infused with energy with your mantra. That is the whole point. When I sit down to meditate, like I said, I think I make sure that I have a calm place, one that I feel comfortable. I light a candle. I'm not one for incense, just because I'm distracted. I feel like it's a shiny object, and I get distracted by the smell, and I really can't focus. There's also what's called a singing bowl you could bring to attention, and I should have brought that out. I'll send a little video on after, but it's a bowl that you sit in your hand, and you can also use water. Each bowl makes a different sound, and it is lovely. If you've ever been to a yoga class, some people start and end with a singing bowl. So to have kind of a routine, a repetition, that's what I would recommend. When you hold your mala, once you're comfortable and seated, I'm left-handed, so I always have my mala in my, holding the remnants of the beads in my right hand, and then I have the guru bead in my left hand. Again, thinking about the elements, we want to hold it between our middle finger, which is sky, and earth, which is our thumb. You want to rest it like this, and again, you'd be sitting, crisscross, or however's comfortable. You start with the guru bead towards you and the tassel towards you. I'm gonna gently rest it, I don't know if you can see it, it's just resting on my hand. And then I'm gonna put my thumb, which is earth, on the bead. And we have peaks and valleys, so you can think about the bead at the top as a peak, and then as you roll it towards yourself, that's the valley where the knot is. And how I do it is when I breathe in, I am, and then as I roll, exhale, I am wellness. So that's how I do it, and then you roll it towards you each time. Sometimes people give up these 3 prayers. They're always the same to the gods. Again, the guru bead, bringing darkness to light. And so as you go along, you'll see here that there's a different colored bead. That's what's called a transition bead. So you go along and you breathe in, wellness. And you'll keep going along, and then you'll hit the guru bead. As you go along, you'll hit different transition beads. You can change your prayer or keep your prayers different for each segment of your beads, which are made up of 9. And you don't even have to have transitions if you don't want to. I think sometimes as a new person using a mala and meditating, I think it's really important sometimes because it gives you a time frame, and then you're not kind of searching, and then that's what's helpful with the beads being a different shape or a different color or a different size, and normally you would have your eyes closed, but different colors differentiate between the transition beads and the regular beads in my when I make them. So as you go along, you'll even hit a halfway mark. And again, just remember quality is quantity. And you'll come along, and then you'll come back to the beginning. And we never want to jump over the guru bead. We always want to turn it and go the other way. Okay, so we're not jumping, we're not flipping the tassel towards us and going to the next bead, right? We're going to take it, and I'll try to show you in slow motion. So we have it in between our fingers. We're going to rotate it, and then we're going to rest it on our thumb. So I'm holding it with my index finger, rotating it like that, okay? And then you move on and go back the other way. How to wear a mala. Traditionally, malas are worn for 40 days by the new wearer to attune to your energy. You can put your mala out into the full moon, the sun, to cleanse it as well. There's some crystals that don't need cleansing, but for me personally, I would definitely cleanse your malas in ever which way you see fit. Palo Santo wood attracts things. Sage kind of takes away the energy, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm new to the ins and outs of, little symbols, I guess, like the sage and whatnot. So I'm not sure what that represents. I know it's supposed to be a calming scent, so you can do that as well. A broken mala. A broken mala is actually a sign of good luck. It symbolizes spiritual growth. The intentions you set might have been completed, or they're not suiting your purpose at that time. It maybe is a different time and a place in your life. So again, I have several different malas, and each mala represents a certain time in my life or a certain intention that I want to acquire, if that makes sense. So again, we talked about 108 beads, multiples of 9. What the guru means. The tassel is channeling the energy across your body. You don't have to have a tassel, but the point of the tassel is to have, to channel that energy across your body. So when you go with your mala, I think we talked about it, you don't want to go in a continuous circle, right? You kind of want to start at the guru bead, which is the bottom of the mala, and go this way. Once you hit it again, go back the other way. And again, we talked about the 5 elements. Your index finger is considered your ego finger, and so that's why when people scold you, they use this finger without even knowing it. So I'll go over the different ones: earth, fire, sky, water, and air. And that's just a sharp energy with your index finger as your ego, fire, where it will burn out your intentions. And if you do that, it's an empty vessel, they say. Rudraksha is a great seed to have. I'm going to show you a different type of mala. So this is a Rudraksha seed. It's made from a fruit. It has great texture to it. This is another great bead to use. And the tassels also mean something, and I'll have to get back to you on the different colored tassels. I think this one is strength. This is clear quartz, but I love the different texture of this seed, and it only gets better with time. With the oils and the things on your skin. So these are considered very sacred in the Hindu culture. They're found in Nepal, and they transmit a high vibration energy. Life is creating balance. It leads you to your higher self. It helps control stress, calms the mind, and poise. Rudraksha transmits an electromagnetic charge by touching your skin, protecting you from negativity. So these are considered great beads. I love the texture of these as well. So these are called Rudraksha seeds. This is another mala that I have. This is mermaid agate, they call it. This is a faceted bead, and again, this doesn't have a tassel. That's what I meant when I said you don't have to have a tassel on a mala. This is an amethyst at the end here, but I don't know if you can see it. It's got the angles on it, and that's a faceted bead. This one doesn't have any transitions except for the evil eye here, so this is just 108 beads. This one has transitions on it like my citrine one did. So here's the first 9, and then here's the transition bead, another set of 9, a transition, and another set of 9, and a transition, and then comes back to the guru bead. Here's another example. This is stunning labradorite with this epic elephant. I love elephants. This is labradorite on here with a transition. And this is a 6 millimeter faceted bead. And then these are black onyx that are at the back, which are nice and smooth, and the halfway mark. So those are some examples of some different malas that I have and that I use. And I just want to preface by saying it's not a cure. I think it's something that we can direct our attention to, and a positive thing, and bring us joy. I think remembering to come back to my center and to understand why sometimes I feel pressed or I haven't done my routine is super important to me, and I really think having that self-serving time is really important, and that's what helped me through a lot of my situations, and I'm still growing today, 46 years old. Just like having a challenge, I was supposed to be on a live, and I could not figure it out. It was very hard. It was a disaster, but I'm doing it on a different way, and I'm trying to shift when I need to shift. So if anything from my story, I think it's not if, it's when, whatever you're going through. It's about a perspective. And you have to understand that you going through that story, you are the one who can set those intentions and have that self-talk to yourself. So please keep it positive and know and give yourself patience that you are doing the best you can, and that we are here, and that we're only trying to improve our spiritual growth as well as our wisdom, and being kind to one another. My work, I love what I do. It was a time where I was scared, and but it was also organic. I knew that I couldn't do anything different, and so take pride in that. Take pride in how you live your life, and if it's in your control, then you can waste it, but save those tears for things that really matter. It put in perspective that one day I might not see my children, and that's a really hard thing to swallow. But I think if I was going to do blind, let's do it. I wanted to be the best blind person I could be. So take in consideration what people have been through their story, and you never know what a hi or hello will do, or a mala. So I hope that I brought you some joy, and if you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you. Be well.